Hello everyone, welcome to this live stream. Today we'll be playing some Blitz. As always, we're gonna start with the daily puzzle. This one is pretty intuitive if you guys were around by the time Carlsen was playing his World Chess Championship against Sergei Karyakin in 2016. And if you saw the last move, the very last move that decided the match, which was played by Magnus, you will be, well, recognizing the pattern, and you'll therefore probably at least consider Rook H6. And Rook H6 happens to be the winning move here. There are only two legal moves I can see. Black can take with the king or with the pawn. If they take with the pawn, Queen G8 is mate, given that we have the Rook on G1. And if King takes H6, we have Queen H8. We deviated, we attracted, there are different names to that motive, but we attracted the king to a suboptimal square, a weaker square, and now we have this move that essentially just invades and wins. So maybe I used the word invade too much. So yeah, in Queen H8, Bishop H7, only legal move, Queen takes H7 is mate, thanks to our bishop on C2, so that's also visualizing the position properly. Being able to see that this bishop is all the way from C2 attacking H7 and supporting the queen is something you must understand. That's, I guess, tunnel vision, also known as visualization. It has different names. Okay, so given that, I'm just going to make sure everything's working fine. Hello, Siderite. Live stream today will consider Rook H6 and Rook H6. There we go. So I think everything's fine. I'm not gonna waste any longer. So I've been analyzing the games I've played with black. I could go 1d3 here, essentially get the same thing, but I'm gonna keep it a little bit more varied. Okay, perfect. So I was wondering what to do against c6. I'm gonna play knight f3, and against d5 I have this move d3. And it's essentially this is the reversed Philidor if they go into the endgame. And many people think, well, David, you're killing the game like this. You're playing such a boring line. Why are you doing this to yourself? But actually, it's interesting. It's interesting. Okay, so they go g6. I'm out of my theory because I kind of understand that this is just a reversed King's Indian or reversed Philidor type of stuff. So I'm gonna go knight bd2 and then g3 and bishop g2. And I'm not sure if I'm going for a King's Indian defense or a King's Indian attack. I guess it depends on how black plays. For now, I think I'm just going to keep it relatively King's Indian defense-ish. Hello, Roger. Hello, Joshua. Wow, Joshua. Long time. Hope you guys have been having a good weekend so far. I'm gonna castle. Just bringing pieces into the game. Castle short side's very natural, and black wants to go for f5. I can sense it. I can sense it, so as a result of that, I'm gonna take once and go c4. And hopefully we're gonna get into some sort of reversed Benoni. Okay. Yeah, maybe I have to study this a little bit more carefully next time. Because this is... I'm getting into dangerous territory. Against bishop f5, I'm going to take a knight c4. Against knight b4, which I kind of missed. I guess I have knight takes c5, and it's unclear. Okay, we're gonna get this one. Bishop takes d3, of course, doesn't work. So now I go knight c4, I'm putting pressure here. Now let's take a look at this. Bishop g5 is a candidate move, knight h4 is a candidate move. a3 is a candidate move, but that one's a little softer. And knight g5, knight e4 is a candidate move. Actually, I kind of like that one. I was analyzing positions today in which knight g5, knight e4 is typical. Bishop g5, f6, I didn't see anything. Knight h4, bishop e6, I don't see anything. So I guess a3 or knight g5. Knight g5 seems more tempting. What do we do against knight b4? What do we do against knight b4? Not sure. I'm a little bit annoyed at that move. Bishop f1? Ugh, no. Okay, I'm gonna have to play a3, I guess, but this is a bad sign. Gonna come here. Now I want 94. Invading on d6. d4 is now weak as a result of my knight no longer being on f3. But I can live with that. Bishop f8, I still can go for this. If not something better. Queen a4? 94 I can take maybe. Okay, this I completely missed, of course, because I'm running out of time. I can't think properly, but I think I'm fine. 94 I take. Oh, yeah. Okay, what am I missing here? Ugh. Knight f3 I blundered. For no reason. Okay, this is no longer about chess, it's about who moves their mouse quicker. 95. Ugh. I'm terrible at this, huh? Terrible. Bishop b2 blundered. Rook e3, bishop h6 blundered. I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's confuse our opponent. Oh, let's not blunder that. Check. Oh, let's blunder something else instead. Rook d1. Game over, kind of. Knight h2. Rook d1, game over. g4. Let's come here. I'm not even close. It's not going to be even close. Yep, we managed our time very poorly. Okay, let's allow my opponent to checkmate me. Whoa. There we go. Thanks for the game. Deeply epic. Okay. As usual, we kind of lost the track, but it was my fault. Part of the reason, many people think, well, David, you just have to play quicker. But actually, it's not because of that. The reason why I'm starting to think is because I'm not well prepared. So in a way, the actual problem is that I'm not well prepared enough. So after d3, I just assumed that, you know, this is the best, and I was pretty happy to see just... Yeah, it's just very similar. And for example, we can take a look at a game from top GMs that went like this. Okay, all of this is initially pretty difficult to understand, but I guess that the best square for this knight after black has played e5 no longer is f3, because on f3 can get easily parried, countered, neutralized. And now it's e3, I guess. And at the same time you trade black's annoying knight, but that's a little bit more of a stretch. Okay, so this one is maybe not the best game to analyze. Let's take a look at this. Okay, MVL. Let's take a look at MVL. Okay, it's something similar in terms of maneuvering knights, which isn't a pattern I've recognized out of both ends of the endgame, both from the Philidor side and I guess this one now. It's all about finding good squares for the knights. But this is pretty... I guess g5, it could have been g6 as well. But g5 is just saying, well, it's a better version than g6. Both of them want to go bishop g7. But then I'm kind of confused because then black goes rook g8. Yeah. I'll have to check this much better. Maybe we shouldn't play this against the Caro-Kann in this stream. I have to make sure I know a little bit more. How did that onion play? Yeah, all of these games seem to be weird maneuvers with the knight. But Aron's knights do look pretty nice. So this one I think is easier to understand. Oh, he blundered this. Okay. He was doing well here, but 92 is a bad move. Should have played bishop e2. Okay. You should have played a4 here as well. According to the engine. Not better than Aron, by no means. Okay, well, something to analyze. I'm surprised that it's not as similar as as the Philidor as I thought. I thought it was just going to be literally. Am I wrong? Isn't this just the same thing as the Philidor? Let's take a look at this. So the structure is we have a pawn on e4, which is lost castling rights. And if we take a look at this reversed position, sorry, this. Ah, okay, I see. It is a big deal. It is a big deal because the knights are on c3 and f6, and that benefits black, now that I remember. That's why some people don't go e5 here. And they purposefully go knight f6 first and then e5. The engine likes it. It's engine approved. It's not that e5 is wrong. But in this case, it's also that both pawns are in the center already. And in the game, black's pawn is not on e5. So that changes everything. I didn't realize that. That being said, it's still very interesting to play this as white. I just thought it was going to be very similar to the Philidor endgame, but I was wrong. So hopefully you guys, if any of you by any chance, by any miracle, had the same confusion opening wise, now you know it's not the same as the Philidor thing. The Philidor endgame would be with the knight on g1 and the pawn on e5, and yeah, black doesn't have to go for e5. So black can go for different things, as we saw in the Geet Nepomniachtchi game and the Maxime Bachir-Lagrave game. Let's close this, let's close that. Okay, well, so that was that. Where did we go terribly wrong? So everything is fine so far. Bishop d2, 97. Wow, we were following... Oh, this is called the endgame offer. Interesting, I'm going to write that down in the title. So we went 97 castles. We were following the main line for a long time. But instead of, yeah, playing like a normal chess player, I went wrong immediately with takes and c4. I went impatient. I was a little bit scared of f5. But of course this is completely wrong. So yeah, this is pretty poor by me. I didn't see this. Normally, like, that's just 3 moves deep. So I had to, yeah, rook e1 was a very natural move. Although in my defense, the engine doesn't like it. The engine actually says d4 and black is better, and black is scoring extremely well in all of these games. Look at this. Wow. Isn't this just a King's Indian defense? Okay. It's a good King's Indian defense as white, because you're up a tempo. So it's fine. Even though black is scoring very well. If you're aware of all of the typical King's Indian stuff, King's Indian defense ideas, then you should be happy with this position, like a4. Oh, according to the engine, you can sacrifice this. Go bishop a3. So what's the best instead of rook e1? c3. And if f5? Then rook e1. And if f4? E takes d5, c takes d5, knight takes e5. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And if what if black just keeps the tension? b4. Yeah, very common. So it seems like it's just, once again, it's just visual. So even though we do want to prevent black from going f5, it seems like we're just going to allow it. We already kind of accepted that we're going to allow it by our opening choice, which is very schematic setup. Like the setup of King's Indian defense seems to always allow, kind of say, look, you can occupy space, you can even, you know, achieve all of these things. But yeah, in this case, white is actually almost +1 with b4. Although it is low depth engine, so we shouldn't be trusting that so much. But yeah, b4, a4, I'm assuming. Yep. And just occupy space in the queen side and say, look, I don't believe in this. Like, this is all a bluff. All of this stuff going on in the king side, it's just you can go for that. I'm not worried about anything. The brain science of chess. Can this tell us? Okay. Okay, we're playing against defensive tiger. We're gonna play 1d6 as we've been doing. Good luck, defensive turn. Good luck. Okay. G3. So now we should be happy to get e5. We should be happy to get f5. Now we have occupied the center. I think it's good practice to play bishop e7, but not in this case because white doesn't even have the chance of playing bishop g5. So now white is going for the King's Indian defense setup. And we're essentially playing against the King's Indian defense. What are we playing? I'm not sure what to compare this opening. I think it's more of a reverse Dutch. So we're playing the Dutch. That's castle. White goes for knight c3 and e4. Knight c3, e4. So I just want to call queen e8, queen h5, knight g4. I also kind of want to play c6 at some point. I'm gonna go queen e8. But maybe I should worry about... Well, not for now, because this is taken care of. But yeah, maybe I should have gone h6 to prevent bishop g5. Maybe white is happy to get rid of this knight. Nah, maybe not, actually. Scrap that. I take it back. I'm not worried about bishop g5, bishop takes f6. White can do that if they want. Something that I've seen before is takes, and knight h4. It reminds me of that line in the King's Indian where white also goes g3, bishop g2. But instead of putting the knight on c3 before playing c4, the pawn is already on c4. And after knight h4, black has to go all the way back, which is what I would have done if e takes f5, bishop takes f5, knight h4, bishop c8. Okay, we're queen e1. What is this? What is that move? Very weird move. I am going to play queen h5. And kind of ask the question, what are you doing? Because now I'm threatening knight g4 takes and rook takes, and mate on h2. Okay, pretty optimistically I say. Of course, there's going to be something white can do in the meantime, but all of those ideas are starting to appear over the board. So we're one step closer to that. And if h3 we can take and take. So yeah, queen e1 is a little bit of a weird move. And we're doing well in time. Let's see if we can materialize the advantage. f4, is that an idea? f4 takes, knight g4, h3. Not sure. Okay. So why can't we take? I mean, we can't take, we could take. We could go h6, but yeah. Knight g4 takes, so let's take first here. If knight takes, I have knight g. Knight takes, knight g4 takes. No, I don't know what is going on there. Let's just make a normal move. So now knight d4 is an idea. And if they take here, I think I can take with the rook. Of course, bishop takes f6 was more natural and potentially better. But now that I have my rook on h6, it looks a little dangerous. And now my idea is f4. For example, h4, f4 is very strong. Or maybe I play bishop d8 first. Okay, no longer possible. Let's go f4 as promised. If takes bishop g4, and I'm trying to take here and take on h4. Undermine h4. If I get to take on h4 somehow, I'll be able... Rook f6 or rook g6? Rook f6 has the advantage that I always have queen g6. Rook f6 seems more right, because I'm worried about... Okay, let's go rook g6, because there's some sacrifice. Sacrifice is... Oh, there's also a very good line. Ooh, there's a very beautiful line actually. Sorry, queen d1. I have bishop g4, f3, rook takes g5, h takes, f takes g3, queen h2 is mate, so they have to address that. Okay, let's take and go f3. That should be game over, strategically. Or maybe I'm being optimistic. Ooh, look at this. Okay. Okay. Look at my idea. This is my idea. Ugh, it's not working. Should have gone rook e8. And rook e6. Ah! Wow. Thanks for the game, defensive tiger. That was intense. Let's take a look at the opening. This is the... Well... Most value you take usually from online blitz games. If you worry too much about missing something in the middle game rather than, I don't know, misplaying the opening, I think it's more valuable to take a look at the opening. So everything is right. If white goes for this Neo-Catalan stuff, of course, Neo-Catalan being more like something like this, and black can go for bishop f5 or bishop g4 here, but this would be Neo-Catalan stuff. And the point would be that white has more flexibility here. White can go for d3, white can transpose into the main lines with d4, even b3, c4, stuff like that. But of course, in this case, I guess it's no longer a Catalan, it's some sort of King's Indian defense as white. And we got this setup. And yeah, we're doing well out of the opening. We've equalized comfortably. Thank you, Cedarite. Have a good one. So all of this is the main line, as we can see here. Then d3 is the second most popular move, and it scores very well for black. We continue with bishop e7. Knight c3 is the first weird move here, because according to the main line, or according to the database, sorry, the main line was c4, castle short side, knight c3, and then we get into the typical stuff. So queen e8, and it's just a reverse Dutch. But they won knight c3 right away, and now, I don't know, it's weird. Queen e8 is wrong though, I should have gone knight e6. Knight h4, and I have f4. And yeah, this is pretty typical. Ah, but we're not winning here, what am I saying? Of course, this is not losing entirely, but yeah, I didn't even see queen 6 h5, so that was not my intention. Knight takes e4 seems to be the move here. We're hitting this, we're hitting that. We take a pawn. We're taking back our pawn because we sacrificed with f4. Okay, well, that makes sense. f4 is strong. Okay. But now we're fine with knight c6 as well, but I kind of obsessed over this knight g4, queen 6 h2 idea. Here we're fine with f4 again, but knight c6 is fine, actually top engine move. And here, yeah, taking with the bishop was the best. And bishop d8, oh no, f4. Wow. Yeah, this makes sense. Once you get rid, it's much, like you may be scared of sacrificing a pawn in this case, but take a look at what you're gaining. It's just such a bargain deal as black. Because you sacrifice a pawn, but in exchange you're opening the king so much. For example, without the pawn on g3, ideas along the g file, like, I don't know, in the future, maybe queen g6, bishop h3. Just an example. I don't think even if it's the best, I don't think it's even the best example in this case. A better example would be queen h6, and all of a sudden, I don't know, like knight d5, bishop e5, this is hit. Of course, I'm assuming you can take on b2 first. You can play bishop g4, the f file has opened up, and f3 happens to be a very important square. You want to occupy, both sides want to occupy. Black wants to attack it, to kind of remove the defender, the natural defender of the king, and white wants to keep the knight, so they don't get checkmated. So what happened in the game? Bishop g5, I play knight c6. Rook takes f6 is not bad. Well, it is losing the advantage. So now it's back to equal after knight d5. And yeah, my opponent took here correctly, and they should have taken here. And played h4 only then. But this is... Black is surely in the easier side of equality here after something like bishop g4 and piling up in the f-file. But the engine defends very well, actually. Knight g5, actually bishop g4 is already a mistake. Knight g5 and it's a plus for white. So interesting. Black has to go for bishop e6, bishop d5, exchanging these two light square bishops. But yeah, after h4, and now we get f4, and f4 is, yeah, crushing. And there's not much you can do. And yeah, there was this dilemma. Whether we should go rook f6 or rook g6, and rook g6 is fine. We sacrificed here prematurely, h6 was much better. And then bishop g4. It's one of those cases where you just have too many tempting options. Knight c6 is winning, rook f8 is also winning. It's one of those cases where you have too many tempting options, and rook takes g5 is fine, followed by f3. Knight c6 was the very best move in this case, because you have knight d4, knight e2. So white already has to play something like queen c3, and then you take on e5 with the knight, and this is a major improvement. So imagine, taking on e5, you waste the chance of creating an outpost on e5, right? So you play knight c6 pretty cleverly, knight d4 is a super threat that white can't ignore, and then you're pretty happy. Now f3 is never going to go away, and if f3 never goes away, the bishop on h1 is completely cemented, completely out of the game. Well, okay. It was closer than it should have, but an instructive game regardless, hopefully. Oh yeah, there's the bullet arena today. One d6. Okay, knight f3, we go knight f6. c4, we go g6. Knight g3, we go bishop g7. Aha, okay. e4, I was gonna play bishop g4. This is what Leon Leviach recommends in his course. But bishop g5 is something I don't remember. So the first thing that comes to my mind is h6, bishop h4, something like g5. Because I haven't castled short side yet, so I can afford to do that. What else comes to my mind? Bishop f5, I guess. I'm gonna play... I'm gonna play h6. I'm gonna play g5. And I'm gonna play bishop f5. So now my bishop is happy. I'm gonna play knight e4 now. I want to open up this diagonal. They go queen b3. Logical. Queen c8 makes sense. Knight d7 I guess makes sense. Because if it takes, I go rook b8. I think I'm gonna go knight d7. I know for a fact that knight d7 is a useful move. I'm not worried about this. I don't consider that a threat. Here, it's funny enough, I have bishop c6, because if d5, I have knight c5, saving the bishop. But of course, the most natural way of playing is bishop g6. So the question is, should I try to make things fancy unnecessarily? Or should I go for the natural move? Because bishop c6 does have the point that you're keeping the bishop in this diagonal, and this diagonal is definitely more active than this diagonal. But it's hard to believe. So I'm going to go bishop g6. If bishop d3 I take immediately, if queen takes b7 I go rook b8 immediately. Okay, c5 or e5? e5 makes more sense. I want to keep the pawn on e7. And I open the queen immediately. In fact, I think I have queen b6 here. Hitting this, putting pressure on d4. Knight b3 has to be played, but then a5. I'm pretty happy with that decision. Now this bishop is extremely strong and this one isn't. So I should be better. I should be much better. Well, I don't know if much, but it should be better. Okay, let's squeeze this advantage. So a4 is away. Castle short side, it can't be wrong. I think castle short side is just the safe way of playing, and given that this is a blitz game, let's take it easy. Okay. Let's ignore that. Let's invade. Queen takes g5, does that make sense? I don't think so. Hey, thanks for subscribing. Sick. Okay, queen e4 makes sense. b5. Ah, no, this is a threat. Okay. Ah, but rook d5 is annoying now. Okay, this is damage control. Not ideal. I'm quite sure I had something better. Ugh, I didn't even see this. Let's sacrifice this. Whoa! Oh no, I'm lagging. Am I lagging? I'm not lagging. Completely winning now. Good game, Gorostovsky. I'm gonna analyze the game. If not, I would have gone for the rematch. Let's take a look at that. It came down to some complications at the very end. Bishop g5 is a very serious move, actually. It's the third most popular move. So e4 is well known, and g3 is... Oh, I'm lagging. Hopefully you guys are still able to hear me. 6 happens. Not sure. It says excellent connection now. Either way, hopefully I'm not lagging anymore. But yeah, so e4 is bishop g4. g3, we get into this line where bishop f5, castle is knight e4. But bishop g5 is the third most popular move, and we need to know what to do against this. I want h6. This is the best, sorry, the most popular move. Not necessarily the best, but if it's popular, most of the time, it does mean that it's the best. Bishop h4, g5, bishop g3, and we went wrong here according to the database. Most people, and this is actually quite surprising, most of the time it's a little bit more. It's not as close as this, but by far, the most played move in this position in the Masters database is knight h5, which is quite surprising, as I said. Like, only one game with bishop f5, only one game with e6, only 2 games with c5. Normally there's much more variety. For example, here, look at this. More variety. 18 games, they're 20s, they're 100s. But here it's just like, it just gets to number 2, and they're 281, which is surprising. But okay, knight h5 seems to be the best way here, and kind of just saying, look, I'm going to get the bishop pair. So let's take a look at this game from Rajabov. e3, e6, queen e7, interesting. So they're keeping the tension. Black doesn't want to take on g3 unprovoked, so black waits until white forces them, and then they take. Because it's not like white wants their knight on d2. They just wanted to force black to take on g3. And then black just played super flexible. Look at the structure. They never went c5, they never went e5. They played very small moves, keeping it super flexible. And then when white went, for example, like knight e4, then they decided to make a decision. Yeah, Rajabov is strong. He hasn't been active recently, but because people forget about these guys. Completely winning. Interesting. So yeah. I should have, let's close this. Should I go knight h5? Knight h5 is the way. h6, h6, g5, knight h5. We could pre-move that. And e3 is also quite by far the main line. And e6 is the line we just saw. c5 is also playable. Yeah. Okay, what we did is can't be wrong. So we went bishop f5 instead. And as the engine points out, it's fine. And here we went knight e4. Once again, I mean, not the best, according to the engine, knight h5 still. But we got an absolutely fine position. So what did we do wrong? So a5 is not... it is the best. Wow. And if rook a d1, just queen e6. Wow. Putting the queen in front of the pawn. These moves are difficult. They're awkward. But it has a point. And the point is, we're threatening a4, and after knight d2... Actually, let's try to get that. Okay, we're just taking here. Interesting. So yeah, I guess white has to address that. So knight rook d2. That's what you want your queen on e6, because you want knight e4. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, the day I play queen e6 is the day I'm a very strong player. But yeah, knight 65 seemed more natural because, you know, I don't know, I like the pawn on d6. The pawn on d6 is maintaining that bishop under control, keeping that bishop under control, neutralizing it. But yeah, it makes more sense. Yeah, the engine prefers d65. It's not a big difference. Actually, they're closer to equal now. Yeah, knight 65 is fine. I'm believing the low depth engine too much. Yeah, this is fine. Our instincts were fine. And castles, once again, our instincts were more or less fine. h5 is the big alternative I had. I was worried about h4. But yeah, I like this position. I analyzed this briefly. I have h4, rook g8, but it seemed more difficult to play with less than a minute than castle short side. And here we got a very good game. a4. And we broke the tension too early. That's the mistake. We should have played bishop f6. Bishop f6 is a useful move because it protects e7 and g5. And if queen e4, I guess I have b5. Yeah, I had to keep the tension and go b5 and create even more tension. My pieces are better placed than white, so I can afford to keep the tension more than my opponent. And for example, after king h1, okay, sorry, bad example. Let's say take as king h1. Okay, once again, bad example, because king g7 and rook h8 all of a sudden becomes an idea. So the h file becomes very vulnerable. Let's say white plays something more natural, like queen e4 and bishop f6. And h3. So now let's say, yeah, b5 is fine. I guess we're just, I'm not kind of getting that example. I was going to say, at some point b5 takes... And you would be, probably people were going to be worried that you're losing a pawn. So let's try to get the previous example. Which is, I think, this. Let's say queen e2. Okay, I can't get it. But I guess that there are always reasons why c takes b5 is not the best. I failed to show it. I apologize. Profoundly. No, I apologize. Sorry, I failed. Yeah, it's something similar happened actually in the game. So I took on b3. Not good. I should have played bishop f6. And I invaded, and this is a mistake. Such a natural move is a mistake. Look at this. Should have played bishop e5. So this bishop that wasn't doing nothing, and my bishop that I thought was amazing, it turns out that I want to... this bishop is a good defender of the second rank, so I want to get rid of it. And not only that, kind of... The threat of bishop takes e3 damaging the pawn structure is pretty strong. So it kind of forced white to take on e5, and then my queen is much better than their queen. And I'm still controlling the a1 square, so white can't fight for it. Yeah, this seemed pretty good. But I was low on time, and then all of this is chaos. White allowed this. Of course, going for the queen sack isn't sound if they go for something like f takes g3. Sorry, the queen sack is sound. Like, if white takes the queen, it is good for black. Because, look at white's king. White had to go king f1, by the way. So this is clearly winning. And I guess the plan here is... Okay, g4 and this. This is winning. But let's say white makes a nothing move. Wow, rook e2. Yeah, these are the sort of moves that you don't see with... How many seconds? 10 seconds? But we were very close. Very close, and we're winning here, but yeah. I don't know if I was lagging. Should I blame it on lag? Yeah, no, I'm 100% getting flagged in these type of positions. 100%. Oh, interesting. Okay, we're playing... I'm gonna go e4. Okay, they go for d5. What do we play against d5? Do we play knight c3? I think we play knight c3. Okay. So we're playing a sideline. That's for sure. They're gonna try to go for f5. I can feel it. So let's go d3. And drop back. So now e4 is not a problem. Maybe bishop takes g8 was... Ooh, That's an interesting move. It seems wrong. How do we punish it? Let's castle first. Maybe it's not wrong. I have bishop d5. That's the first instinct. I also have h3. H3 here, g4 takes is interesting to say the least. And honestly, I don't think I can resist. It is weakening my king side, of course. But black is just one tempo away from stuff. One tempo away from... For example, they can't castle anymore because they play f5 and I have a bishop. And they're one tempo away from queenside castling, so they're a little bit slow. I'm seeing my opponent's gonna sacrifice. But that shouldn't work. There are all sorts of tactics. Yep. We're doing well, actually. All of a sudden, we were doing a little bit poorly before, but now we're doing well. So queen e2 looks interesting. g5, knight h4, queen e2, queen e1, g5 again. Bishop e3. Let's just play bishop e3 and d4. Opening the center. Whoa, okay. My pawn is breaking way too many principles. So, well, maybe only two, which is not castling and not preventing me from opening the center when you haven't castled, I guess. Takes on e5. And bishop d4. Okay, now I'm getting my... Okay, this was my idea. I'm preventing queen g3. I'm protecting e3. I'm attacking b7. Not that is... I don't think that's a threat because, yeah, of course, queen takes e3 is losing the bishop with check. But I don't know, something like bishop f4 maybe. I am aware that this is a pretty weak diagonal. Yeah, bishop c5 is a strong move. Well found. Credit to the opponent. Now I have to do stuff. Yeah, I failed. Clearly, I felt there was something better than this. Oh, wait a second. Bishop takes a6 was an idea. Bishop takes a6 was an idea. Okay, bishop a6 becomes an idea again. And this time I think it works. Or am I blundering knight e4? I may be blundering knight e4, but there is bishop f4. And I have absolutely no idea what's going on. Okay, this one I have absolutely no idea what's going on either. And I'm too low on time. I go queen g2. I go bishop takes here, claiming that this is attacked and everything is attacked. Good lord. This should be winning. This is winning. Ah! Ah, yeah. Oh, sorry, I shouted. I probably jumped scared of some of you. Ah, yeah. That's too slow. Thanks for the game. Where am I? What was I doing? Because winning this with 10 seconds, of course, is tough, but it's within reason. Okay, well, I guess it wasn't. I need to trade the rooks, and then it becomes a little bit more possible. But yeah, no. I need to trick him one more time in terms of trading the rooks, and then bishop d4 was strong here, technically. Like in terms of playing this with 3 seconds. Let's take a look at the game. So we play this line. I know it's not great. I wanted to get some sort of reversed King's Indian once again. Given that this is our main repertoire. And yeah, we got an absolutely winning position. Okay, I jumped into saying that. h3 was the best move to prevent bishop g4. Wow. Castles right away, bishop d4. This is a positional blunder actually, castling short side. You have to prevent bishop d4. Goodness gracious. Yeah, g4, I mean, it's fine. We're still slightly better. And now we're back to better. But we had to play queen e2. But I was scared of queen d6. We have knight b5 according to the engine. d4 is wrong. Wow. And I was criticizing black. Well, I take it back. Well, too late. I guess I take it back once the engine shows me. I was completely wrong. I thought that I was opening things up and, you know, black had broken way too many principles. And opening things up is definitely the best way. Goodness gracious, this actually gets rid of the advantage. And the engine has enough depth, 25, to kind of evaluate this, I think. So I would have been slightly better with king g2 or with knight g5 or with queen e2. But d4 is actually allowing black to get back into the game after e takes d4 and knight takes d4. Wow. Pretty materialistic chess. No wonder this is an engine line. Queen d6. Yeah, okay. Well, okay, it wasn't human. So here I take and I play queen f3 and black is absolutely fine after queenside castling. Remarkable. And we played kind of well here. Bishop d6 was better, threatening something not very nice, but then bishop c5 allows bishop d5, which I didn't see. I went king h1, which is the human way. And then here taking on a6 is a blunder because of knight e4, although I was going to play bishop f4 and I didn't see a response. It turns out that you can take here, take twice, take on c3, and then take on a6. But then they went knight d5, and now bishop takes e5 is the only move. But yeah, unfortunately we found it with... Now we have 11 seconds, so it kind of... There's no point. We are winning. We don't have the time to win. Okay, we're playing against the Gandalf. We're gonna get a... Once again, a reverse Dutch. Let's go f5, knight f6. It's slightly better to go bishop e7 first. Okay. Let's play bishop e6. Followed by knight d7. So our pieces are harmonious. We have developed all of our minor pieces successfully. So let's not get excited to go for e4. Here we go c6. So this is the setup once again. Our queen, I think, belongs on c7. Taking with the knight doesn't seem right. Let's take with the pawn. I think we have got a good position. So h6 is a candidate move. Queen c7 is a candidate move. Queen e8, queen h5 is a candidate move. Or a candidate plan, I should say. I like the last one I mentioned. Queen e8, queen h5. Yeah, but I have to watch out. I have to watch out for tricks, as always. h6, bishop h4, g5. Why haven't I done this? Oh, because there was queen g6. Interesting. So another benefit of queen e8 is that it stops queen e. Queen g6 check. So now they're forced to take. If they had gone bishop h4, I have g5 and f4, and this is what I was talking about. Oh, sorry. Queen g6 is not possible. Okay, now I take with the... I'm forced to take with either the rook, the bishop, or technically the pawn, but okay. Let's not talk about that one. And they go e4. So now that they have the bishop, the knight pair, they want to close things off. Makes sense. But now, sure, things are closed off and my bishop is not amazing, but my pawns are pretty amazing. Let's see, how do we transform this advantage? We're definitely slightly better here. How do we exploit it? Okay, let's start with a5. I want the c5 square for my knight. So now I have bishop e7. This knight is protecting the bishop. Okay. Fair enough. Let's take... We can play rook d8. I guess I want my king on h7 at some point. There's no entry, so I'm not worried about that. What if I go like this? And I just continue. I can go rook d8 as well. I'm gonna go rook f7 first, actually. I think this is a useful... but then bishop c4. Okay, let's go h5. This may be no longer as good as it was originally. Okay. That's kind of annoying. Plundering this. Not good. Yeah, that's kind of game over. Oof. Yeah. We have to manage our time better. Let's take a look at the opening pretty quickly. That was a poor game by me. Poorly managed. I mean, it wasn't that poor. I was better here, but with bishop d8, goodness. And bishop c7. Wow, okay. So I did have the instinct of playing bishop e7 immediately. We realized that it's not possible. So that's why I want to go knight c5, bishop e7, but that's too slow. Much quicker is bishop d8, rook, bishop c7. Wow. And this was all fine until g5. I should have played queen f. I should have taken this seriously. And I was taking it seriously, I just didn't see how to stop it, but queen f7 is a very cool way of stopping it. And now I'm gonna play rook d8. Or bishop e7. Actually, bishop e7 is now... Yeah. I know, bishop e7 is not a threat, sorry. What am I saying? Knight takes e5. Yeah. Yeah, bishop e7 is the best way to get this, as we can see. And then we... Yeah, I mean, bishop g5 is nothing to worry about. What am I saying? It's nothing to worry about. It's fine. We got a good position. And all of this is fine. c6 is okay. King h8 would have been played. Could have been played as well. h6 could have been played as well. But yeah, all of this is fine. We got a fine position. We just have to kind of materialize it. We're spending too much time getting those good positions. And bishop d... to be fair, bishop d8 is pretty tough to see. But we could have gone g5 right away, for example. And if h3... Sorry. Yeah, it's difficult to play this position with time trouble. Who would have said bishop d8 is the best move? It's just insane. What about rook d8? Isn't rook d8 more logical? I don't know. Bishop d8. Why is chess so difficult? I'm just playing king h1 to show the threat. Bishop f7, the point is that we're finally playing bishop e7 and getting rid of this annoying, extremely annoying rook. Bishop d8. Okay, rook f d1, bishop c7. Poof. When am I gonna find that? When in this world? g5, h3, and what's the difference now? Now we can play rook f7. Good lord. Bishop d8, bishop c7. Okay, another Scandinavian. Let's play knight c3. Okay, now they do what we had. Previously taken into account. So I think we can go h4. I think this is fine. And then go g3. And bishop g2. Here I think f4 is sensible. Taking it with the bishop makes sense. I want to go for c3. I'm gonna go bishop g2, knight f3. Is e5 working? If I can get rid of this pawn, that's a kind of an achievement. I think this is working because they have to take with the knight. Now I can take here. I can also take and play queen g5. Not sure if it's good. You can also take and then bishop c6. I think I'm gonna go for that one actually. Maybe I rushed into this. Yeah. Now it becomes very double-edged. Okay, let's not accept the gift. I think the gift is actually more of a... an invitation to lose the game immediately. Taking on e5 and taking on g4 seems like it's not giving me what I want. Moving the bishop seems wrong as well. Okay. I don't see anything better. Castle's queenside seems suicidal, but it does defend the pawn. So maybe I should go for castle's queenside. Okay, let's go castle short side. I think castle's queenside is just... Castle's either way, it's my king is gonna be unsafe. That's the hard truth. 93 is something to worry about. Rook f3 then. Okay, let's go queen c1 then. Let's start with queen c1. And then I'm gonna have to play much quicker. .93 I take. This I thought I could take. Wow. Can't see anything anymore. Here? Yeah. I'm quite sure I'm getting mated somehow. Or just losing the queen. Good lord, okay. Normally I allow my opponent to checkmate me, but okay, let's be time efficient. Given that we have kind of only space for one more game. What was going... Like, I got absolutely crushed in that one. Absolutely crushed. So all of this is black's advantage, which I kind of expected, but not so big. Okay, now it's back to normal. Okay, yeah, e5 was wrong. Okay, I was prematurely going for this. Which is kind of... yeah, it makes sense. When you're playing horribly, you're trying to find these very... You're trying to find very, like, cool ideas, and you're trying to force them. And given that I'm playing horribly now, it makes sense. Bad game. It was a bad game. Let's see if we can finally get a good game here. Okay. We're playing the delayed Alapin. That goes for this weird... Okay. Is this theory? I think this should be fine for me. I once was facing something similar. I think I just took out my pieces. Okay, now there must be something wrong with this. d5, knight b4. Okay, takes. Yeah, this can't be right. Rook c1. 22, queen d2. This I think I can take, and then king h1. I take b5 is a threat. So e5. f97 d6. f95 I have takes and bishop e4. This I have knight e4. f5 also looks very strong. I guess knight g4 I should have thought about this a little longer because it does threaten queen e3, but okay, I should be fine. Especially because I have takes here. Takes, I have bishop f5, I believe. Ooh, okay, no. Queen e5, I have bishop g4. I thought there was some rook h2, but yeah. I was seeing ghosts. Knight b5. This seems so wrong. Where's the mate? So takes? Or e6? e6 castle short side. Knight e4, queen e5. Ah no, but there's knight d6. Oh, takes and knight d6. So knight e4 maybe. Knight b5 doesn't seem to work. So let's go knight e4. Knight e5, I think. Oi, oi, oi. Nah, that shouldn't work. I take and then go g3. You can start with knight d6 though. Ah, okay. Wait a second. You can also just go h3. Let's start with knight d6 because I don't believe in this. Wow, maybe I do believe in it. Wow, it would be amazing if this is working. Okay. Let's see if I'm quick enough. I haven't been exhibiting speed today. I think I have him because bishop takes e4, queen takes e4. He's gonna try to flag me in a different way. But I think 5 seconds should be good. Thanks for the game. Well, finally we get a good game. That was pretty romantic. I've had several people playing this against me, and it's weird because e6 already gives white a little bit of a plus. But then queen c7 is weird. This is what you do when white has this structure, right? So if you could ask white, hey, imagine your knight was on f3 and your pawn was on d4. You have all the center. So it's a little bit weird. So yeah, I've had this before. And we were completely winning. So the opening was a success for once. And we converted it actually pretty well. All of this is reasonably well. Queen 6 h5 I completely blundered. But f5 is also winning. 94 was better. Yeah, this is a mistake. We should have gone 94. Yeah, now this is complicated. Castle short side would have been better, but now queen h4 we're back to winning. We just didn't, I didn't want to go for this because I didn't see the win. So oh, okay, of course. Yeah. I saw this and I just didn't see how to include my queen. I knew that checks and, you know, but I didn't see how to include my queen. Queen c4 is not working, for instance. But I didn't see knight f5. I thought the only way I could not lose this position would be to give checkmate, to include my queen into the game. But the second way you can stop your, like, stop the attack is, of course, winning the queen. So I went h3, which is still winning, but, you know... And I think king f8 is a mouse slip, because castle short side is more logical. And then after that, rook f4 is an advantage for white. But after this, it's just game over. It was just a question of, is white in time? Queen d7 is a more cleaner way. Queen d8 is once again made in two. I didn't see this, I took on c4. Yeah, I made my life so difficult. But okay. Let's just play one more and probably call it a day. I have quite a lot of games to analyze already. Okay. So they're going for a reversed version of what we just played. Because we're playing against the same opponent. So let's play bishop e7. Let's castle short. We're going for that same Dutch structure. Oy, oy, oy. Blunder knight g5. What am I doing? This is a massive mistake. Massive. Okay. What should we do? Okay, at least we don't lose the light square bishop now. Came to the cost of a pawn though. So not good. Knight c5. Preventing knight e6. Preparing knight d3. Or bishop d3. If h5 I take, I think. I know, but there's knight e6. No, there's no takes and bishop f7. So here my idea was just bishop, like, knight d3, bishop d3, and pray. Because there is knight e6, there's queen e6 and knight f7. There's a variety of tempting options as white. Let's come here. Okay, that one I blundered. Ah, queen e6 is a problem. Okay, let's come here actually. Let's go queen h5. Queen e6, I go king h8. And I have knight e4. ideas. Maybe they're all just a product of my imagination. Classic. I think f3 is fine. For white, probably. Yeah. We could resign here. But I'm gonna try a little longer. Yeah, this is pretty rough. Ugh. I guess we can take and take. Yeah, I didn't put much resistance here. I'm threatening bishop d8, that's my brilliant plan. But after e4 I could resign again. Okay, let's come here. Ugh. Not nice. Not threatening much here. It's just about scaring the opponent, really. And none of this is real. Nothing is a real threat. Oh, I could have taken on a4. I'm completely blind. Don't seem to be playing incredibly well, huh? Threatening rook f4. Okay. Now I have h4. Maybe. Whoa. Wow, bishop e3 I completely forgot about. We're saving this game. That's insane. That's insane. What a horrible game. I'm sorry. That was insanely. I apologize, mates. It was all about the time at some point. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. I will need a shower after that one. What did we do wrong? Yeah, we were absolutely fine out of the opening. Yeah, of course, yeah. And now I remember, yeah, of course this is completely wrong. It should have played h6. Yeah. And just out of curiosity, is there anything I can do to resist? Yeah, knight c5, b4, knight f e4. Wow. So this is unclear. The engine claims this is winning for black. Yeah, knight 67 is accurate. Should have gone queen f7 right away. I just wanted to scare my opponent with knight e4, knight 64, queen e2 ideas. But f3 is very solid and yeah, minus, well, +3, +4 almost. Yeah. And this is all not worth analyzing until, yeah, knight takes h4, then bishop b3. I was thinking of rook c2, but I didn't see that this was mate. And of course this, I have queen f, bishop c4 first and then queen f2, or d3 and queen f2. So wow, that was insanely lucky. Insanely lucky. And this is actually winning for white. But white has to find this queen a6. And it's one of those positions where if you don't find it, you get mated. Okay, well, I think I'm gonna analyze all of the games. I have plenty of material. Clearly, we have to work with our black repertoire, especially with the games that we... I think this one really hit me hard. So what is this? What was the name of this? I always called it the English rat, but the Leech's openings called it Zuckertor, and you know, everyone is calling it something different. Like people call it reverse Dutch, so I think I'm gonna start calling it reverse Dutch. I just failed. I failed miserably at playing these positions today. So I'm gonna check out that. I'm gonna spend the following days analyzing, well, okay, the following hours at least. Nice win, pretty crazy work, thanks. A lot of work to do. Thanks everyone for joining, hopefully you learned something. Hopefully I wasn't too arrogant, nor too dry. That's how it is. You know, chess learning isn't exciting. Sometimes it is when you're solving like chess studies and things like that, but at certain level it comes to, you know, discipline, and the true rewarding activity or the rewarding feeling comes after you win the games, after you've studied them. And unfortunately in this stream I didn't have too many of those moments. I think those rewarding moments were more like, oh yeah, I flagged my opponent quicker. I was quicker than him. But yeah, I will check out those games, I'll analyze them. And yeah, thanks everyone. Hopefully you learned something, and I will see you for